The pitch from Acevedo.
Swung on the line down the left field line for a base hit.
Fly ball, gap, right center field. And
Double him up at second.
Luke is going back to the 1-8 track. Get out the right, run and Buster Grandma. It is grand salami time.
will send Seattle to the American League Championship Series for the first time in 24 years.
51-52 is the Mariners' record as we sit here on Thursday, July 23rd. Not where we want to be, obviously, but here we are talking about this team as always, episode 186 of the show. Mahal Domingo Anderson, joined by Jeff, Budkey, and Jeff. A 500 homestand coming out of the break. How we feeling? How we doing?
It was a great day. I got to see you live and in person. Always a treat outside of the show. And, you know, I was listening to this podcast called Light the W this week and talking about what are we going to do with these 62 games? Let's enjoy the ride. This is going to be the fun part. We got our 50 and 50 out of the way. This is all up to us at this point going forward.
Whew, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
Let's have some fun, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, World Cup's over. The Sounders are stinking up Seattle soccer. There's not a whole lot else going on in Seattle sports right now. There's not a whole lot else going on in the sports world. It's all Mariners all the time. We're about a week and a half away from the deadline right now. The rumors are swirling. It feels like DePoto, as always, wants to get that first punch in on the deadline, and it feels like that could be any day, at any point here coming up. And I'm looking forward to it. This team needs a jolt. This team needs a boost. And the crowd wasn't able to give it to them. I mean, it was a great crowd at T-Mobile Park this entire homestand. And it's unfortunate that they didn't play better because the crowd deserves it.
We got to, you and I each went to 2 games this series against Cincinnati, and we both saw a win and a loss. Unfortunately, we went to the same game on Monday, so 2 other losses besides that. It's a huge crowd. I know whenever we get a National League team, they only come every other year, but the crowds are packed. This is cool. This could be a really fun fall into summer. Like, let's roll, boys.
Yeah, like the Reds are not some big team by any means. I mean, some people want to come see Ellie, whatever, but you're getting packed crowds on weekday nights. Like, the city wants this team to succeed. We all want this team to succeed. This team wants to succeed. It's just about getting to the point where some of these guys are hitting, about getting to this point where this bullpen is able to do what this bullpen should be able to do, getting a little bit of a boost, getting a little bit of jolt into this team, get some more energy, get some more fire. If this team starts to go, it's going to be an incredible scene here in the city of Seattle.
Really weird series for Josh Naylor. I want to touch on before we move past it. Naylor had 6 hits in the 3-game set against Cincinnati. He had 2 stolen bases. It felt like he was so active. But I was like, is he not being clutch right now? Like, what am I seeing? And I was looking at his numbers with the bases loaded this year. He's had 14 plate appearances, and he has 1 hit. It was the grand slam against the Orioles on June 8th. Other than that, abysmal with the bases loaded, regardless of out situation. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't really mean anything. So I'm looking at his leverage splits. His high leverage OPS plus is 112. Okay, that's good. He's above average. His low leverage is 103 for OPS plus. His middle leverage, which I don't really know how they quantify it, is 67. And I'm like, wait, what? The numbers don't explain Josh Naylor right now. That was my big takeaway from the Cincinnati series was dude is playing ball. He has been much better over the last few months. Is he clutch? Is he not clutch? Not really a thing for Josh Naylor.
It's been a weird year. Like he's like been actually relatively good at the plate since the second week of April 15th, 16th, somewhere in there. Since like Jackie Robinson Day, he's been like incredible at the plate. Not incredible, but he's been good at the plate. And he's been everything they really need him to be. But in terms of his throwing at first base and making errors there, that combined with what just feels like frustrating moments time after time after time after time. Even if the numbers say it, it's just the eye test doesn't pass, and it's been weird.
that ground out to first in high leverage right now is like killing me. I'm like, dude, how are you rolling over that ball that's a foot outside? But the numbers are telling us that he's been good.
And ultimately the numbers are the numbers. But you need to see this team, right? Like here in the second half, we've gotten off to a 500 start. Like it's exactly what you expect this team to do. How do you go into Texas this weekend? A 4-game set with Texas that goes around to Monday. Very weird. I don't know why they did that. Very weird.
Very weird.
Very weird. But you have a huge series, and you got to just figure out how to get it right. Like the starting pitching has been there for the most part. The starting pitchers have been fantastic, but a combination of bullpen guys struggling, Dan Wilson making weird bullpen decisions, and just your star players and your whole team really in general not coming up clutch with runners on base, and it's just been a frustrating stretch, right? Like all it takes is a couple of guys figuring out how to hit with runners on base, and this team is averaging 8-9 runs for a solid stretch because they have the base runners to do it. It's just about getting that one hit and locking this team. That's why it felt like earlier in that Red series, game 1, you get the hits, you get the moments, and it's like game 2, you're just waiting for that moment, and it just didn't come. And ultimately, if it had come, like how different would these vibes have been? And they're just so close to me, it feels like. And I feel like I have this irrational hope and belief and positivity around this team right now coming out of the break because I just went to 2 games where they easily could have won both games. And the Reds aren't a good team by any means, but I'm looking at how the Mariners are playing and I'm saying they're actually getting traffic. They're just not clutch. And that's something that to me could come around at any point here coming up.
We had that runners in scoring position allergy before the All-Star break where we couldn't do it at all. Felt like Wednesday we did enough to win, and Bizzardo gave up a 3-run homer with 2 outs that he just hasn't in 8 months since he's really given up a big home run. Like he's been good. We shall not speak of that other one, but Bizzardo's been great, and he gave a home run. So reason for optimism, even with a 3-3 homestand. 4-2 would have felt better, but overall, time to move forward. Let's go win the Texas series.
Yeah, and I think time to move forward is exactly the right thing here, right? Like, it's been, 103 games now. Wipe those 103 games. It's time to go. It's time to get moving. It's time to play your best ball. Wipe what's happened. Let's go.
Let's not dwell on the past. Let's not talk about how the Marlins haven't won since they played us. Let's not talk about those things. Let's not talk about the Mariners hitting coach who's being scapegoated. Oh, wait, maybe we should discuss that for a moment.
Yeah, we should probably mention it earlier today, Thursday. Bobby Magallanes fired by the Mariners assistant hitting coach. Jeff, any reaction?
In my history of watching sports, when a lower level assistant is fired, that's because there is someone upset, someone important. It can be the owner, which seems unlikely in this scenario that he would meddle. It could be a player. It could be a difference in philosophy. When something like this happens, someone is upset. I doubt we get to know the truth. It doesn't feel like the time for just a shakeup when the All-Star break was a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's pretty insignificant. Probably right. It's a scapegoat thing. We're showing you that
not to that
we're
guy.
Frustrated. Well, yeah, Rip Bobby. It's unfortunate. He'll get a job somewhere. We'll get a job somewhere, hopefully. Maybe Anaheim. We'll bring him.
The last assistant hitting coach we fired works for the Yankees now as their hitting coach, and they seem to be hitting everything. So what do I know?
Who knows anything anymore? I mean, hitting coaches, what do they really do at this point? Especially an assistant hitting coach. That's beside the point, though. That's beside the point. Does
he report to Edgar or someone else? Sorry, let's not get into the semantics.
Edgar and Seitzer, it's a tag team.
Oh, so he's below them.
He's below both of them. Sorry, it's all right. It's all right. It's a scapegoat thing. It's them saying, this isn't good enough. We need to see better, or else some moves are going to have to be made around the coaching staff, around players, around whatever. Because it's not good enough, and they need to prove that they are worthy of being added to here at the deadline instead of sort of a middling sort of deadline. Do I think they're going to do that? No. I think they're going to buy. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do. This morning, The Athletic released an article. Ken Rosenthal wrote most of it alongside a couple other people. But it talked heavily about the Mariners and their willingness to part with starting pitcher Emerson Hancock. Hancock breakout here in 2026, and it makes sense in my head that he's a guy that is willing to be parted with. I talked about him in the Giants episode that I did a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, I guess, and I talked about Casey Schmidt and Helio Ramos both as fits to potentially trade Emerson for. You're going to need to get a guy that's controllable. You're going to need to get a guy that's going to partially impact your team. And to me, the M's willing to part with Hancock signals that they know that there's probably some stuff left in the tank with Hancock, but they don't see him as a 2 or 3 starter. They see him more as a 5 starter.
When you get information like this from a Ken Rosenthal or someone that is relatively plugged in, who's to benefit? If the name had been Bryce Miller or Brian Wu, we would have been like, who's selling this information to him? It's not the Mariners. With Hancock, it feels like the Mariners, maybe they're testing the waters because they're not getting the reaction publicly or privately that they want. That's why you put something out like this publicly, assuming it came from the Mariners. I think there is validity to it. I think it would be hard to see him kind of peaking right now, playing great ball as a first round pick. But 2020, that was that COVID season. Drafts across sports just really struggled with identifying talent that year. So yes, you can think of him as a former first round pick, but really he's just an arm that we have developed and he is good. Is he great? Probably not. And we might have other great guys ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, you look to the future, and there's been a lot of talk about George Kirby being traded because he only has 2.5 years left of control, right? And it would make sense to me to trade Kirby, and this potentially could even be posing to potentially trade Kirby because you're saying, look, Kirby's not high on our list of guys we want to trade. We don't want to trade him. It said that in the article.
The article saying that George Kirby wasn't readily available actually made me feel like he is available for some reason. I was like, oh, you're also saying what you're not saying by saying what you shouldn't have not said.
Exactly. It's a whole posing thing, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying, what can we get? We haven't gotten the interest that we would want to get in Luis Castillo. We're going to have to part with somebody else probably. Now, how do we do here with interest in Hancock? How do teams value Hancock?
Castillo, here, you can have this. We don't want it. We want Kirby. No, you can't have that. How about Hancock? It's just it's all moving chairs.
It'll be really interesting to see what happens at the deadline, but it really does feel like there's a possibility, if not a high possibility, that one of those 3 guys is going to be traded because this deadline is going to be funky. You're going to need to make another team better while making yourself better, and it's going to be really interesting, I think, to see what'll happen with it.
Agreed.
All right, for the bulk of this episode, we wanted to get into our deadline plans. Jeff, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So the moves that I didn't end up doing, I thought would be a good place to start. This was a little bit hard to do because the easiest trade partners that we have, the Arizona Diamondbacks, Tampa Bay Rays, Jerry Dipoto, and their GMs must be college roommates or they vacation together. We get deals done with them all the time and with relative ease. Both of those teams have a better record than us right now. The Rays are in a fantastic position. They have no reason to trade. The Diamondbacks, maybe if you like really made them a great deal, but they believe that they're in it. And why not? They're playing good ball. I kicked the tires on Lourdes Gurriel Jr. He's on the IL right now. He's a righty. He's owed $9 million through next year. I couldn't really stomach that one. Did he come up for you at all?
A little bit, but not a whole lot. I didn't look at the Diamondbacks a whole lot. They might have a bullpen arm that would maybe make sense, but.
And then the other one that you brought up on the show is Luis Castillo for Seiya Suzuki. And maybe you're going to get into this, but something about this Hancock news today. Hancock for Suzuki, I think we've kind of flipped over to that being a little expensive for us, with Suzuki being an expiring contract and probably not able to re-sign him here. He's a good player. Is he a great player? No, kind of in that Hancock range. I do see the sprinklings of a Jerry Dipoto idea that I didn't lay out, but let's say there's an arm or something in the Cubs prospect organization that he's interested in? Could it be Hancock and Suzuki, Hancock for Suzuki and a prospect that Jerry has had his eye on for a while? That kind of felt a little bit more like a rental plus. Or if Jerry is really desperate to get off Castillo's contract, could it be Hancock and Castillo for Suzuki and a money dump? That also kind of piqued my interest. Uh, okay, what were the trades did you have any that you thought of that you didn't include in your bullprint?
Yeah, I mean the Seiya
Blueprint.
Suzuki
Yeah.
blueprint plans,
What are
whatever.
words?
The Seiya Suzuki Luis Castillo one definitely came up. I just don't really see the Cubs trading Seiya Suzuki at this point. Um, and
They're
well,
they're
I
a
think
good baseball team.
they're a great baseball team at this point. I mean, they look like one of the top 4 or 5 teams right now in the National League. Um, and I just, to me, that's probably making them worse, especially starting pitchers for them to start to get healthier. I just don't think it would make a whole lot of sense for them. Another one I kicked the tires on was with the Orioles. Both Taylor Ward, I think, makes a lot of sense, as well as Yenier Cano and Rico Garcia. I just don't really see the Mariners making a trade with the Orioles. They haven't really lined up on value in terms of players. Could the Mariners go trade Emerson Hancock to them and get Taylor Ward and one of those relievers? Potentially. Potentially. You might have to add another little piece in there, but I could
That's not
potentially
bad.
see that.
That's
That
not
one was
bad.
off dome. That just totally came to my head randomly.
Hancock would
Uh,
be really valuable to the Orioles because they are allergic to good pitching.
and they need a controllable guy that would be cheap. I think actually that could make a lot of sense. Something I've now kicked the tires on, you could say. I just kicked the
Uh,
tires in my brain.
Chris Bassett signed that 5-year, $90 million deal with the Orioles, extended him. And in my head, I was like, I thought Chris Bassett was like 37 years old, so I don't know who that is. Love when that happens in baseball.
It's a great one. Really.
My Mariners blueprint sucks, but I think this is what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks. I believe the Mariners will be light on the trades. I believe the Mariners are going to report to us that their offseason or their trade deadline acquisitions are Ryan Bliss, Matt Brash, and Rob Refsnyder, and we're going to hate it. I wish I felt differently, but I don't. And I think there is one trade out there. I think picking up a reliever will be really important. The one trade that I think we will make and we should make is going to get Pete Fairbanks from the Miami Marlins. He is 32 years old. He is owed $4 million left. It's right. Relief pitching security that won't be free, but shouldn't be too expensive. He has been insanely bad this year. Insanely bad from an elite relief pitcher for the last couple of years. It's the perfect time to trade for a guy. His whip and his FIP are so high. His whip is 5.51. That's not right. 1.51 and 3.31 FIP. So he's either washed and done with baseball at 32, or there's going to be some positive regression coming here in the second half. And I think that's a guy that Jerry could capitalize on.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I think one way or another, there is going to be a bullpen arm added to this team. And I think that Pete Fairbanks, especially if this team scuffles again or more here through this difficult stretch, head in before the deadline, right? You got Texas, then you got the Dodgers, then you got Minnesota for a 10-game stretch prior to the deadline. Like, if they scuffle through this, I could totally see something like that happening. In terms of mine, I went crazy. I'm all positive. I'm feeling all the vibes right now. Like, I really feel like this team has a big move in them. I have 4 moves because I wanted to go crazy and I felt like making moves.
I want you to go. I want you to go. I hated that I didn't have very many moves. It was really hard to stomach. Something about the Tigers not trading Scuba. I think I'm worried about the snowball effect and teams just tightening up and putting their stubborn foot down. I hope it's not, but I'm worried there's going to be could be a quiet deadline here for Major League Baseball. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think too, you look at right next year, and this isn't something I'm really going to want to talk about until it happens, but the lockout, right, that is very likely going to come in December through whoever knows, like who knows how long, is going to affect this deadline because a guy with a year and a half of control, you have no idea if you're really going to get that full year or how much you're going to get.
Rosenthal reported that as a negative for acquiring Luis Castillo, and I was like, why would that be negative? Worst case scenario, you get out of 27 million next year. But that was the way it was reported. They didn't want to take on that money in case there was no season. I'm like, those guys don't get paid if there's no season.
Yeah, it's going to be really weird to see what happens with it, because a guy with a year and a half control like Castillo, like I don't know how you value that. How do you value a year and a half of Castillo? Because for the Mariners, you look at it, right, and as Jerry Dipoto, I'm saying it's a year and a half of him. I'm valuing him as a year and a half of him. But for a team buying, you're saying, well, I'm not going to get that full year and a half very likely. I'm going to get a year,
Two half years.
2.5 years. Like what are you getting? So you're going to pay the price for a year and a half and only get a year. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
I think,
all right,
to see what happens.
Time to cook.
All right. For my first move, we're getting the starting pitcher out of the way. Luis Castillo and Corbin Dickerson getting traded to the San Diego Padres for Adrian Morejon. Get a high leverage reliever, a lefty. It's a rental. I think you are able to move Luis Castillo in this deal, and you eat a little bit of that money. I don't know, 5 million, 10 million, whatever, somewhere in that range. And I used the Gregory Soto trade last year as a reference, because Gregory Soto was a lefty that was traded as a rental. Now, he is not as good as Adrian Morejon by any means, but he got the Mets' 19th ranked prospect from Pipeline and an unranked prospect. I gave them a top 12 prospect in the Mariner system, somewhere between 10 and 15 in Corbin Dickerson, and I gave them a starter that is going to eat innings, that is going to give them some good starts. He's going to have mixed bag of results, right? But ultimately, they need starting pitching, and I think that they would take on Luis Castillo and at least part of that contract in exchange for Morejon, who, look, assuming if they're willing to sell their rentals, isn't really going to affect them in the future beyond this year. And they also get Corbin Dickerson, who's a really interesting outfield prospect that has shown good stuff in low A, or in single A, I guess, and has just been moved to high A, and it'll be interesting to see sort of how the Padres move with that. But that's my first move.
Ex-Mariners on the Padres, Ty France having a career year right now. It's unbelievable what he's doing, ripping the tar off the ball. So maybe they'll take a chance on another one.
Yeah, exactly my thought process there. For my second trade, you're getting the outfielder. And I wanted to move Emerson Hancock in this deal. I wanted to. But I don't think you're going to move two starters by any means. And I already moved Luis Castillo. So, from the San Francisco Giants, I'm getting Helio Ramos. I'm getting the guy I want. And I'm going to send them Nick Becker, Mason Peters, and Lucas Kelly.
Well, you like Mason Peters.
I love Mason Peters. I really do. But I think he's getting traded at this deadline. And I think you get a top 10 prospect, late top 10 prospect in the Mariners system, which is a good system. And you're getting a 10 to 15 guy, and you're getting a solid relief prospect in exchange for the 3.5 years of Helio Ramos. Is the team that makes, or that this is a trade that potentially makes the Giants better, especially in the future. You get soon impact with Lucas Kelly potentially, and then you get two guys that both could potentially be really solid major league players. Nick Becker has a really interesting future. He's got great speed. He's got solid bat to ball skills for the most part, but he strikes out a little bit too much, right? So it's a flyer. Nick Becker is a piece that I think the Giants could be interested in, and I used the Lane Thomas trade last year as something to kind of base this on. The Nats, got the number 8, the number 22, and an unranked prospect from the Guardians. That was for a year and a half of Lane Thomas, who's not as good as Helio Ramos. But that's a system in the Guardians that isn't as top-heavy as the Mariners. I think that Nick Becker is probably 5, 6 in that Guardian system, and then you get a couple of lower-tier prospects, and I think it can make sense for both sides.
This is a big move, and he'd contribute.
Yeah,
in some way.
The interesting thing is, right? How do you work the outfield then? You got a lot of guys that are sort of DH.
I think the Giants should have to take Ref Snyder in the deal.
Yeah, they can have. They can have.
They have to have. They have to have.
So then the question becomes, what do you do with all these outfield guys, right? How do you have Ramos and Randy and Rayleigh and Canzone and Julio and Robles all on the roster?
Don't talk about my baby boy. Don't you trade Dom.
Don't worry. I would never trade Dom. But I'm going to trade the guy that is most similar to him in Luke Rayleigh. I'm going to send Luke Rayleigh, Michael Morales, and Casey Hintz, who's another relief prospect, to the Reds for Spencer Steer. So the Mariners get a guy that can play third base, he can play first base, he can play both corner outfield positions. This is a right-handed hitting, almost like a utility guy. Now, he's not particularly good at any one of those positions, but I think he makes a lot of sense for this Mariners team. He's having a good year. He has control years, and he's just not that incredible of a player, right? So the Reds aren't going to get a huge package back, but I think they could love Luke Rayleigh. Luke Rayleigh in that ballpark would hit a lot of home runs, I think. Michael Morales is a potential flyer of a pitching prospect that you could move to a relief prospect if you want to. And then you get another relief prospect in Casey Hintz.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm really interested to see if we ever get to see Brendan Donovan again, what that looks like for our team. Spencer Steer could really help with filling those gaps. And
yeah, I think for me,
Rayleigh's been tough.
He's been tough lately. But again, I think that ballpark really would fit him, and he sort of makes up for some of that control stuff with Spencer Steer. And my goals for this deadline, right, are to add versatility, to improve the bench, improve the back end of the bullpen, and improve versus left-handed pitching. I think I've already hit all of those different things, and now you have a lot of flexibility on how you want to maneuver your roster. But I had one more move in. I know the Mariners want a right-handed reliever. The Mets have a right-handed reliever. They have Luke Weaver. And I'm going to go get Luke Weaver as the cherry on top. I'm going to send them Teddy McGraw, who's a reliever prospect. I'm going to send them Logan Evans, who when healthy is another starting pitching prospect that they could potentially throw in there. And the best guy, I'm going to send them my future MVP, Luke Stevenson.
Don't. No. You're sending 3 starting pitchers. And
Two starting pitchers. 2 starting pitchers.
Don't you have Castillo and Hancock and Evans going? That's 3.
No, Hancock stays.
Oh, how did we get Elliott Route? Never mind. Sounds good.
So you get Luke Weaver.
Okay.
You get your right-handed reliever. You've really bolstered the bullpen. Now you got 2 of the best relievers on the market. And by no means do I think this deadline's going to happen.
Weaver would be so sick, though. It'd be so nice. Just one more elite arm that is less expensive than the San Diego one we're going to talk about.
Absolutely. I mean, you just look at the Mariners bullpen, right? If this were to happen, you'd have Andres Munoz, Adrian Morejon, Matt Brash, with a little asterisk just because you have no idea when he's going to get back. Then you got Luke Weaver, Gabe Spire, Jose Ferrer, Edward Bizardo as your 7th guy in the bullpen. And then you got Cooper Criswell, Cade Anderson, Ryan Zellin, whoever you want to throw into that final spot, whoever's healthy, right? You have to be able to throw into that final spot. Your rotation is Bryce, Logan, Kirby, Emerson, Hancock, and Wu. And your lineup is able to just maneuver. You can give Josh Naylor a day off and move Spencer Steer to first base. You can give JP a day off. You can give Donovan a day off. You can give Randy a day off. You can give all these different guys days off, and you got 2 additional bats to help you against left-handed pitching, one of which especially is an everyday player in Julio Ramos that you can play in right field. And this really improves this team. This is the type of deadline that I think is signaling we're going all in, we're pushing all our chips in, and we want to go for it this year. And I think that's something the Mariners should be doing.
This is a team of well-rounded individuals, strengths everywhere. It would be really cool to leave this trade deadline being elite at something. Like, we're really, really good at starting pitching. We're pretty good at relief pitching. We are pretty good at hitting against right-handed pitchers. We're not very good at hitting against left-handed pitchers. Like, we're straight up bad, probably. It'd be cool to feel confident going into the stretch run.
And I think that's what this type of deadline does. And you have a really, really tough August. You're going to need to bolster this team before August and get better before August, because your August is absolutely brutal. After the deadline, it's Detroit, Tampa, the Yankees, Houston, and Milwaukee.
And then September is sick. September is wonderful.
But we got to get there, and we got to be in a good position, and we got to be able to have September be our let's run away with the division month.
Then let's go add Mason Miller.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. A lot of
it'd be
rumors.
so sick.
A lot of rumors about Mason Miller. And that is the ultimate. We're pushing our chips in. We want to go get uncomfortable and go make a trade that really improves this team.
A year ago, Mason Miller traded for Leo DeVries. Leo DeVries is 19 and a half years old now, so he was 18 and a half years old at the time. I can't believe how high he was ranked as a prospect. He's hitting 837 OPS in AA. Like, he's clearly awesome. The A's are just waiting because I don't think they have any reason to call him up. But Mason Miller right now, like, what would the Padres be gaining by trading him? Who has a better offer than we do?
I mean, there's not going to be many teams that are able to offer major league starting pitching, and that's the difference. If the Mariners are willing to go offer George Kirby, you can make this trade. Not easily, but you can make this trade because you're making the Padres better now. Go give them Kirby. Go give them one of Michael Arroyo or Laz Montes that are able to improve their team next year.
Yep.
Right? Like, you have the talent close to the majors and the talent in the majors to go and make this trade. And, well, the A's got the third best prospect in baseball last year at the time. And then they got the Padres' third overall prospect and 13th overall prospect at the time. The Mariners can go offer a trade that is similar to that. And, well, it's a year less of Mason Miller. That means it's going to be a little bit less than that, right? So you don't have to give up a top 5, 10 prospect in baseball. Yeah. But you can give up a major league starting pitcher that is almost that same sort of guy. Leo DeVries replaced by George Kirby, so then you got to go give them a top 5 prospect. This is how I thought about this. So is Kirby, Montes, and then you go give them another solid prospect, Corbin Dickerson. Like, go give them a guy in your 10 to 15 range, and I think that you can get this trade done.
The names we see, Kirby, Laz, Arroyo, if the price was all 3 of those, I'm starting to feel pretty uncomfortable. But if it's any 2 of those 3, thumbs up for me. We have to do it.
Divish mentioned the potential of doing Kirby, Arroyo, and Felny Celestin. That's uncomfy. That's scary. But I think you would do that trade maybe.
Yeah. It'd be nice to get something else back, but I think I still say yes.
It's a generational closer. It's making your team better. It's signaling to the team, we really believe in you guys. Let's go do it now. Now you got to navigate it with Munoz, but it's Mason freaking Miller.
It's Mason Miller, and like Mason Miller was a setup man in Oakland for a bit. Like they don't care, and we just convinced those guys like, hey, you're pitching every night in the postseason. Like we'll let you know when. Oh, we're playing Houston in the wild card series. Guess what? Mason Miller, you're getting Yordan in the 6th, and Munoz, you're getting Yordan in the 9th. And that's all we're worried about. Like, who cares?
And it allows you to sweep series and not throw those guys on back-to-back days. It allows them to stay healthier, right? Like, you could choose to throw either one of those guys in a situation where you need a super high leverage guy that might not be necessarily the 9th inning. Like, you can go throw Mason Miller or Andres Munoz in the 8th inning, in the 7th inning, when you're facing the top core of their lineup that you might not face again, and then you have the other one available to, if you need to face them again, or you have a save opportunity, to throw them. It makes your bullpen freaking insane. It makes it a 7-inning game. Probably a 7-inning game.
Well, with the way Munoz has been playing too, he's been unbelievably good for a month. Yep.
So it's a 7-inning game against the Mariners, and with that starting pitching, a regular season game becomes a 1-inning game, potentially, if the Mariners have the lead. So it makes your team so good. And we can dream on it all we want. Is it going to happen? Probably not.
Probably not.
But if Dipoto wants to get uncomfy, if the Mariners want to make the big move, this is the one that you would.
And I don't think it would be like an overreaction, like it slave to the moment kind of thing. Like, no, this dude is that dude. Oh,
he's
and
generational.
In T-Mobile.
Oh, can you imagine? It would be freaking insane. That walkout in front of that crowd.
It feels so good when you have like a a relief pitcher who's just dialed, and you just get to enjoy it. Yeah.
Yep.
And to have two.
We've talked about Joan Duran last year so
Yeah.
much. Divish was talking about it on a podcast either today or yesterday, and he mentioned that Harry Ford was thrown around in those. Like, I think the Mariners are going to be willing to go offer trade packages for relievers. They showed they wanted to do it last year. They know this bullpen needs a legit guy. I think they're going to be willing to do it, and I think it might be time for them to go get one. It's been a few years since they got a reliever. It feels due. It feels due. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
I would love it.
Same.
Huge weekend series, Jeff.
Yeah, really
huge
big.
Weekend series. Texas for 4. The Mariners are a half game back of them right now. Is 2-2 good enough? Are we taking 2-2?
I mean, yeah, but I want so much more. I had this thing in my head that Cal just destroyed Texas last year in Texas. He hit 350 last year with 2 home runs in their stadium. He's just been a Texas killer in his career, not as much as Toronto, but it'd be so cool to just win 3 out of 4. Cal hits 3 home runs in the series. It could be sick. Could be the move.
It'd be so nice. That would be the move. I'm gonna have Dan Wilson call for that. I think it's time for him to give the
press the home run button.
Home run button for Cal. You pressed it against the one and only.
When you're playing the show and you hit the power button, unbelievable.
Power swing.
Such a good
power
feeling.
swing.
Power
That's
swing.
like the whole Mariners team though right now. It's
I wonder what the signal is for the power swing. It's just nothing.
It's got to just be a little
it's default.
Tackle the brim, or they have a little Pedro Serrano statue in the clubhouse and go, "Here." Major League. What a movie. The Mariners are marinering. I have an irrational belief. The Brits say it's the hope that kill you. I'm ready to believe. I really want to see this team do it. I have so much hope, so much belief for the rest of the season. And I just feel like they can do it. I really do.
I believe in them. Toronto sucks. They're 9 games under 500. They should sell. Detroit, you suck. You should sell. You're not going to. Let's go take the division back from Texas. They suck as well. And everyone sucks but us.
We're the GOATs. Are going to win the World Series. Thank you for listening to episode 186 of the show. Till next time. Till next week. Hopefully we're talking about a Mariners series win on Sunday night. Or at least that they won 2 of the first 3. Till then, though. Go M's. Go Ners. And peace.